The objectives are: select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand your speech. Make your message clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message. Use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to another. Create a strong opening and conclusion. The evaluator of this speech is Toastmaster Raj Sekhar. The time allowed is 5 to 7 minutes. Lighting frequency is green at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7, and buzzer will sound at 7:30. The title of the speech is Hell Hath No Fury. Hell Hath No Fury. The speaker is an ex-army officer presently working with Larsen & Toubro Defense Division. He is passionate about playing, watching sports and keeping in touch with current affairs. Has lived in various cultures and environments around the country because of his government service. A persona of versatile personality. Let's welcome Ranjit Misal.
Hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn. The true meaning of this phrase dawned on me once I got married. Till then, it was only a phrase sounding good to my ears. This phrase incidentally was coined by English playwright William Congreve in the late 17th century for his play The Morning Bride. And not surprisingly, he died a bachelor. President, fellow Toastmasters, and my dear guest. After marriage, there are many instances when a man is at the opposite end of this fury. And for me, the latest incident happened after my icebreaker speech at the Toastmasters. I did not mention my wife, even though I mentioned my rest of the family. Actually, neither I nor my evaluator realized this mistake. But it was quickly spotted by my wife once she saw the video later. In retrospect, calling this incident a mistake was an understatement. It was blasphemy. Worse than when Sachin forgot to mention calmly during his farewell speech at Wankhede. As a result of this blasphemy on my part, there were immediate hostilities at home, similar to those at the Indo-Pak border. Like all the conflicts, there were round of negotiations between me and my wife to end this impasse. My wife obviously was in a better position. Maybe that's the reason they are called better halves. I had to give some ground. Amongst the various conditions she could extract from me, one was the next Toastmaster speech would be dedicated to her. And I would mention her during the course of the speech. To those of you who are wondering what took me so long to give my project to, now you know the real. I sometimes wonder if only we had ladies at the negotiating table with our neighbors, we would not have so many boundary disputes. They can put diplomats at shame. But however, considering the positive changes that my wife has brought about in my life, I sometimes feel it unfair that I keep demonizing her. Consider this. Now I have a life partner with whom I can share my life's joys and sorrows. Even though sometimes she is the source of those sorrows. My house no longer looks like a scene straight out of an earthquake site. I can find right things at the right place, even though sometimes I am scared to use my own things for the fear of misplacing them and spoiling the decorum of the house. For some of us, marriage is a burden, a financial burden. I was lucky in that aspect. No, I did not take dowry. I could buy my first house before marriage on my own steam and could add one more to the tally because my wife was working. So, but there is a twist to it. Having a working wife makes you a home husband. I have to concede one thing here. A woman can do lot many things a man can do, but a man cannot do lot many things which a woman can do. With marriage, your social circle increases. Your wife's friends and her relatives become part of your friends, become part of your social circle. But the converse also is true. Her adversaries have to be treated like your adversaries, even though if they were your friends in the previous life before marriage. Going to movies, watch entertainment, eating out, and going on holidays is no longer a big decision. The decisions have already been taken. You have to only abide by those decisions and reassert the supremacy. I can go on and on and on regarding benefits of marriage. But for my timer friend who's looking at me and getting busy with the buttons down there, before I conclude and forget, let me mention my lady love whom I got married. Ours was a pure arranged marriage. After my father realized, or rather my parents realized, that I do not have the potential to woo a girl for myself. She is a lawyer by profession and education, and we have been blessed with a 3.5-year-old son, and we've been married for last 5 years. I'm sure I've been able to motivate my bachelor friends to get married as soon as possible and to live a life happily ever after.
One thing I would like to mention about his speech. He is so daring here, not